Well, what colour suit did you think I'd be wearing? Men in Black International is the fourth Men in Black film. Will Smith's J and Tommy Lee Jones's K are gone, but Tessa Thompson's M and Chris Hemsworth's H are our new heroes working from the London branch of the Men in Black. They have to uncover a mystery, keep a sci-fi MacGuffin out of an evil alien's hands, and face a threat from inside the Men in Black itself. While I was writing this review, and also, if I'm being honest, while I was watching International, I couldn't stop thinking about the first Men in Black film and how good it is and how I wish I was watching that. Thankfully, because I write in my home, I just took a break and watched the film. I'd say I haven't seen it in at least 15 years, and it was even better than I remember it being. It also highlighted the problems with International and the Men in Black sequels as a whole. See, a lot of people, and even the film's own sequels, especially the third one, seem to think that the dynamic between K and J was that K was a gruff, emotionless sourpuss who didn't know how to lighten up, and J was, well, Jay was Will Smith doing what Will Smith does and injecting energy and humour into his performance, and that would contrast with Jones. But actually, their dynamic is that Jay is the new guy to whom all the aliens, tech, and the history of the Men in Black itself are new and fascinating, and for Kay, it's all old hat. As the film goes on, you see that Jay reacts to the plot of a giant bug causing the near destruction of the Earth as a world-ending crisis, and Kay just acts like it happens all the fucking time. It's his 9-to-5 job. This means that most of the humour is very low-key and situational based. Jay is surprised or scared or panicking, and Kay just calmly lets himself get eaten by a giant bug. Men in Black 2 and 3 went with more obvious kinds of humour, and International just went the Thor Ragnarok route and had Chris Hemsworth improvise his lines. At least that's what it sounds like. They need to stop doing this. Ragnarok was good, but improv plus a not very convincing English accent do not go well together. Tessa Thompson's character is okay, but she's not funny as an actress. I like how she's always trying to play it cool, but she's really excited or confused and doesn't want anyone to see it, but she's not funny. Chris Hemsworth's character is confusing. He's basically a James Bond type, but he comes across more like Archer.
Seriously, Lana, call Kenny Loggins, because you're in the danger zone.
People act like he's the best agent, but he's always fucking up. Then they keep saying that he's changed. What's happened to him? He didn't used to be like this, but we don't ever get a good look at what he was like before. And whatever's wrong with him now is so pervasive in Hemsworth's performance that he's not a good guy with some flaws as much as he's a pretty bad person who smiles a lot. It's also never made clear exactly what it was that caused this personality change. It was either a bad breakup, which is stupid, or another more spoilery thing, which is stupid and lazy writing. At times, the two leads have good chemistry, specifically when they aren't trying to be funny, but their dynamic is weird. She's the newbie and he's the veteran, but she's the professional and he's the goof-off. Her whole thing is that she has no attachments and family and friends are just a distraction, while he says he believes the opposite to be true, but his actions and personality scream playboy, lack of commitment, lone wolf. I wasn't clear how they felt about each other. Are they friends? Are they partners? Is there a romantic interest? I have no idea. There's a scene near the end where they have to part ways, and it seems like it's going in a romantic direction based on the performances and the music, but it ends up being even less concrete than it was before. It might have been cliche to have a romance between them, but it would have been new for this series and it would have given me something to invest in. So yeah, the theme is basically about not going it alone and counting on other people, but I know that because the characters just state it outright, not because of any situations, decisions, or conflicts that arise throughout the film. The plot is boring and a retread of the first two films. The heroes have something that the bad guys want, and that's about it. Along the way, they discover that there might be a mole inside the MIB organization, and once that's brought up, it becomes immediately obvious who the red herring is and who the real mole is. The villains aren't memorable at all. It's obvious that they were hired because they're like famous dancers or something, because they just start dancing in the middle of a scene, but not like good dancing or otherworldly alien dancing like you might expect from a film with aliens in it, but like that stupid, intense, glaring dancing that you get from the Step Up movies. There's all this talk about Hemsworth and a mission in the past that's obviously leading to a reveal of some kind, but you know that it won't be any good. The editing is choppy in some places, especially the opening, which goes from a short time in the past to 20 years in the past, and then back to the present in a way that has me thinking that the events in the prologue that were only like a week in the past were something that we were going to lead to later in the film. There's also a scene where Hemsworth and Rafe Spall are having a conversation in a crowded room in a shot reverse shot, and every time we cut to Spall you can hear voices and sounds from the environment, and then it's silent but for Hemsworth's voice whenever we cut to him. There's a moment in the film where a character laments about what the Men in Black used to be compared to the kind of missions that they do now. And that sums up my feelings about this film so succinctly that I am amazed they didn't incorporate it into the meta-narrative of the film, which they didn't. Nothing about how the MIB used to be the way it was in the first film, where everyone can agree that it was the best it ever was, but now the Men in Black's missions are silly and undignified. Or about how there weren't that many aliens and they were basically benign, but now there are enough to warrant more than one branch of the Men in Black, and now they're all shady criminals.
At any given time, there are around 1,500 aliens on the planet. Most of them right here in Manhattan. And most of them are decent enough. They're just trying to make a living.
It used to be about regulating and hiding the existence of aliens from humans like a government agency, but now they're alien cops / secret agents who go undercover and act like bodyguards, which just doesn't seem to belong in the same world as even the first 3 films. They don't even seem to worry about ordinary people witnessing their antics, like riding a flying motorbike through a busy Marrakesh street. It used to be a sci-fi comedy, but it devolved into a standard action comedy with sci-fi elements. Watching the original, it struck me just how generic and shiny and glossy everything looked in International. It's the calling card of the Sony Pictures aesthetic. I actually don't have that much to say about this film. It's just very forgettable, but there was nothing particularly hateful or infuriating about it other than wasting 2 good actors who have been proven to have good chemistry together in the past. Kumail Nanjiani was kind of funny as a really tiny alien that follows them around. Writing this review, I kept thinking about the things that they could do to freshen up the series, and I didn't have to think very hard. If they just took some of the ideas that it introduces and hints at more seriously, focus on how they have to give up their identities and families when they join the Men in Black. In this, our hero says that she has no life, so it's no big deal. Wow, so interesting. The first movie focused a lot on alien immigration to Earth. Sounds like something that might be kind of relevant today. Or just make it a better mystery and focus less on the comedy. Maybe go serious with it. Make it a film noir like LA Confidential with aliens, something like that. Or make an alien the hero and the Men in Black the bad guys. I suppose that's been done, but there are so many ways that you can go with this premise. I guess my point is, if you want to keep it fresh, or at least keep people interested, because it doesn't really seem like they are, you have to do more than change the setting and making the characters younger, more attractive, and one of them's a woman this time. If they followed through with the tease of getting to see Linda Fiorentino as an agent in the second one, that would have been cool. At least the third one had time travel to mix things up, and Josh Brolin's impersonation of Tommy Lee Jones was definitely worth seeing. I'm going to give Men in Black International a C-. If they wanted it to be funny, then F. Gary Gray probably shouldn't have been the director. He can handle action, but he has no sense for visual comedy. Everything is just shot pretty standard, and his action skills fail him here too. Oh, and Liam Neeson's okay as the head of the London branch of the Men in Black, and Emma Thompson's really good as the head of the New York branch, but she's not in it enough. And it's silly that she's English and he's not, but she runs New York and he runs London. And Rebecca Ferguson, I don't know why she's in this, but she's okay. She's not great. And don't expect any cameos from Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones. Once again, like X-Men Dark Phoenix, it's not awful. It's disappointing, and this is actually probably more forgettable than Dark Phoenix was. One positive thing about the film compared to the first one is that it's not set in the 90s anymore, so the suits actually fit people the way that they're supposed to. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps the channel grow. And follow me on Twitter at LukeToTheMovies. Please comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. If you agree or disagree with any of my points. If you liked it, disliked it. Or if you have any points of your own. I'll be back soon with more reviews. And I'll see you then.